Okay. Hey, Angie, thanks
Hi.
for meeting with me today.
Yeah.
So I showed you our lesson that I had created for actually one of my classes last year, but I went ahead and finished it this year as part 2 of this assignment.
Okay.
With this lesson, I structured like a group activity where the kids could collaborate, and they had defined roles. And I encouraged a lot of productive struggle at the beginning of the lesson, and then included a real world situation so they could apply it outside of the classroom. So while creating this lesson, and then afterwards I have to think about the 4 domains of dispositions. We've got open-mindedness. So I tried to stay open-minded with the productive struggle, giving them that first, and instead of immediately showing them the answer. And learning to be comfortable with students being confused for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
Self-reflection. After planning this lesson, I reflected on how sometimes I step in too quickly to rescue students, and it pushed me to think about when to provide that support, when to wrestle. That's the thing I've been thinking about. Curiosity. I want to continue to build curiosity in my classroom, starting with a problem instead of a formula, and asking the kids, how are we going to learn to solve this, and getting them curious about it, just thinking about it, even before we get to the problem. And then educational equity, I tried to incorporate that with a group strategy and giving each of the kids roles so that they could contribute meaningfully to the classroom. And so while creating that lesson, I had some questions come up. So my questions for you is, 1, with the productive struggle, when do you decide to step in with our kids, especially our modified kids, and just instead of just solving that confusion?
So I think if we're looking at this in terms of a pull-out class, we've already identified that these kids are operating at least 2 to 3 grade levels below where their peers are. So I think the math curriculum that we've been given is really difficult for our kiddos because it wants them to start with that productive struggle and trying to come up with some ideas on their own. And we've already identified that these kids are really low in their math skills, and they typically don't have the idea on how. And then I know particularly in a lot of the classes that I teach, we've got some emotional, some autism, and so when they're asked to do something that they can't do, then we can sometimes see behaviors. So I would say I tend to show it first, which I know goes against kind of what the model of this curriculum is, but I show it, I teach it, give them some examples, but I would like to see that productive struggle as they have to do it on their own, because I feel like one of the biggest skills we can teach our kids in math is how to not know something but go and find it. So I think about like real world stuff, like they're going to a restaurant or they're going to the grocery store. Where can you find the information that you need so that you have the answer that you need as well? So a little bit more of that, not giving them the answer once I've given them the tools, I think is kind of where I land on that.
Okay. So what strategies have helped you to ensure that group learning, collaborative learning stays equitable and that all the kids are contributing in some meaningful way?
So you always have kids who want to answer everything, and then kids who don't want to say a word.
Right.
So I felt like I had to set up a structure that worked for me, because I think, I'm going to remember all this at the end of class, and then something happens and I'm pulled a different direction. And so once I present the lesson and we go over some things together, I let them do some problems on their own, and then I go around the room and call on each individual student. They can come to the board, they can do it on their dry erase boards. We have tons of different methods of letting them show their work. And then I write on the worksheet that they're going over, I can write notes like, oh, they got the first part, or they don't get this at all, or a big check mark with their name. That's kind of almost like an exit ticket for me as well. but that allows me to also level the question. So if we're doing the equations, it might be that I ask a kid who's modified, hey, which one of these numbers is the negative number? It's not the goal of the problem, but it is his goal.
Yeah.
And so that allows each kid to participate.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for meeting with me today and helping me through these kind of things as we go along.
Wonderful.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.